Namaste, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel, Savage Healing. It is in the middle of the night and I cannot sleep, and I thought that's the best time to do a video about my experience with Ascension symptoms. So, what are Ascension symptoms? Maybe some of you have heard about Ascension symptoms already on social media. It is also called spiritual awakening, and it basically means that we enter a higher level of consciousness and that we get a DNA upgrade. And I'm so happy that I figured out what Ascension symptoms are and what it means and what kind of process so many people right now on this planet go through, because if I wouldn't have found this out, I would probably think that I'm going crazy. And I know there are thousands and millions out there right now who probably think the same, and maybe you're one of those souls who sees this video and you have no idea what I'm talking about, but maybe when I start talking and I will explain you the symptoms, you might realize that you have this too. You are going through a spiritual awakening too. Or in the future, you will start to experience your ascension symptoms, and then you're going to think about this video and think, okay, that was what this crazy woman was talking about. And yeah, I tell you, it's something else, these ascension symptoms. And this is something I never thought I would ever experience in life. But if you hear this, you're not alone. And that's so amazing, and we're here, every single one of us, everyone who shares their experience, to help understand, to help to go through this whole process, and just trying to stay sane and healthy throughout this process, because it's very consuming, let's say. So what are my ascension symptoms that I have experienced so far? I have to say, I think my ascension symptoms started in 2019, but maybe before. But there is no point where I can say, oh, on this day my ascension symptoms started, my spiritual awakening started. But in 2019, something very profound happened to me, and this is something I will probably never forget. And back then, I was checking the astrology, I was checking the planets to try to find answers to what was happening to me, and I didn't find any. So basically in 2019, there was one night, I remember it so well. I know it was Halloween because I partied very hard, and the next morning when I woke up, I couldn't walk up straight. My whole balance was non-existing anymore. As soon as I stepped out of my bed, everything was turning. I felt like in a roller coaster. And because everything was turning, I immediately felt sick to my stomach. And this whole process went on for 2 weeks, which means I couldn't walk up straight, I couldn't eat, I couldn't go to the toilet, I had to crawl to the toilet, and I lost several pounds in those 2 weeks, and I'm already slim. And when I actually got healthy again, let's say, people could see I was going through something, but I couldn't explain what it was. And I went to a doctor, and the doctor said, "Oh, it will go away after a couple of weeks." And he had this medical answer he probably gives everyone who comes with symptoms like that. But I just knew this was something else, but I just couldn't pinpoint it because I never experienced something like that. So, as I said, after 2 weeks, it got better again, but my balance never came back as it were before. Never fully. I still, from time to time, had problems balancing. If I tried to skate, I couldn't because my left side was sort of, everything happened in my left ear, left side. Everything was just not working properly. Yeah, this was very rough and very, very strange at the same time. So, now we're in 2022. 2021 was also very intense, very heavy Ascension symptoms, but in the past couple of weeks now, and especially January and February, and now in March, these symptoms have been very heavy. Okay, so what else do I have? Anxiety. So much anxiety, and anxiety that kicks in, it comes and goes, it comes again, then it goes again, and very intense. But I have to say, now, March 2022, these waves of anxiety, they start to ease off. So the more light is actually pouring down on us, the better it gets. The more cleansing your body does, the better it gets. Really, I cannot stress this enough. Another major point that I have experienced are mood swings. From depressed to angry to feeling full of love and bliss. And also throughout these past couple of weeks, I noticed that these mood swings, these symptoms actually ease off. So I don't feel angry a lot anymore. I feel much more careless, let's say, even though it's a more like negative term, but instead of getting angry, I just become careless. It's like I'm not angry, but I just don't care, you know? And the depression still is there, still comes and goes, but also the state of feeling full of bliss and love. And this state of bliss and love, if it kicks in, it stays for hours. And it is such an amazing feeling that I cannot describe. It's just everything doesn't matter anymore. You just feel so full of love, and you see love everywhere, in every little detail and every little thing that you do. Just drinking a cup of tea feels so magic from time to time these days. And that's just fascinating. And I just feel that as soon as this feeling of bliss and love kicks in, from week to week it stays longer, and it is amazing. And I know that this will continue like that. It will just increase, and all these negative aspects, just such as anxiety and depression, they will decrease. And I feel it with my emotions, you know? It really got better. And even though while you're in it, while you have to go through it, it's rough, it feels intense, but it gets better. And this is that all that matters, you know, and this is that counts. The next ascension symptom would be that from time to time I really start to feel detached from the world. It's like I am somewhere else. It's like, yeah, it's like I'm on a different planet already from time to time. And then I go outside and I look at people, and when someone tries to talk to me, or if I interact in a conversation, I just see the people so differently, and I also notice they see me differently. And it's like they're so far away from me, but we're still there together, but so far away. It's like sort of like in a dream, you know? It's something I cannot explain. That's just how I experience it so far. Yeah. And the next point would be that my psychic abilities become very focused, let's say. For example, it is easier for me to read people's thoughts. Not everyone. It is not happening with everyone. It is with certain people. I can literally read their thoughts. And it's not that I can, not like word for word, it is more the thought form. It is more the theme of their thoughts. You know, when some people say something but they don't speak out everything, this little part that they do not speak out, I know exactly what they want to say. And although I can read their thoughts, but I know they cannot read mine. This is the only discrepancy that I have at the moment. But it becomes better and better week by week, I have to say. But as I said, it's not with everyone. I think you have to have a certain connection and a certain link to a person to be able to experience that. But with the next person, this is happening. I will ask them if they actually can read my thoughts too, you know? Because this is something very interesting. And also, what I noticed talking about psychic abilities, it is much more easy for me to manifest. So, whatever there is that I would like to manifest, or if I look for a certain object in my apartment, it is much more easy for me to actually find that object or to achieve that certain goal, you know? When there was a thing, a goal you wanted to accomplish and it took months, this happens now in weeks. Because I always, on every new moon and every full moon, I write down everything that I would like to accomplish in the next couple of weeks. And the other day, I looked at everything that I wrote down from the past couple of months, and I just could cross off almost every little detail that I wrote down. And this was so fascinating for me. And I did not even realize that I accomplished all these points. Very fascinating for me. The next point would be crazy, wild dreams, lucid, vivid, everything. The past, I think it started around July. I would say July 2021, when I started to have such deep and intense dreams. And usually, when I was a child, well, it started when I was a child, I always dreamed about places and buildings, let's say. And then years ahead, like 10, 15 years later, I visited a city nearby or a new city that I've never been to in my whole life. And I'm standing in front of this building and I look at this building and I'm thinking, I have been here before. And then I remember I have been here in a dream. And I know exactly if I go around this corner, there's this and that building. So this is not something new to me, dreaming about places and then actually go there in the future. What was new to me that I started to dream about people that I've never met in my life, and weeks later I actually meet this person. And this happened to me last year around July, and this was very different, and I think I never told this to anyone yet. So you're the first one to hear this. Yeah, but also, when you dream, well, when I dream, um, and please write down in the description, um, in the comments below, and please write down in the comments below if there's anything that resonates with you. Please, I would love to know that. Um, yeah, so if I dream, it is like my regular life, right? I'm inside my body and I experience whatever I experience in my dream. But since for a couple of months now, I can see myself from the outside, and it's like my soul is watching me doing certain things. And yeah, this is also new. This is something I've never experienced. And I don't know if this is me or my soul watching my body in a different dimension, in the future, in the past, in the present, in a different dimension. I don't know. But it's very interesting. I've seen myself pregnant, I've seen myself with a man, I've seen myself with a different man, I've seen myself just having conversations with people that I've never met in my life. It's interesting, very, very interesting. And then another symptom would be there are days where I'm not hungry. There are days I cannot eat anything. And there are days I cannot stop eating. And it's usually several days in a row where I'm like, okay, I'm not hungry. I eat, I don't know, breakfast, and then I don't eat anything um until dinner. And then there are days I cannot stop eating. And I'm eating and eating, and then I'm hungry again, and I'm eating more and more and more. This is very extreme, and yeah, again, interesting. And then I had experiences of where I felt like time is not existing. I have one example where I took a road trip to somewhere, and this road trip took me 8 hours. But for me, it felt like it were only 2 hours. So when I arrived and I looked at the time and I thought, wow, I was on the road now for 8 hours. But it felt like two. I don't understand. But then of course I got very tired and then I felt my body was very, very exhausted. But the trip itself, it felt like 2 hours and it felt like I was going through a portal or something like that. I don't know. It was just it was just very nice because I had a very nice trip, but at the same time, strange. Just felt like I lost complete the sense of time. And while I was on this trip, by the way, I also had ringing in my ear, and this is something I usually do not have. I hear a lot of people having that, but on this trip, I actually had it when I was on the road, and it was again my left ear, which was also very interesting. And yeah, that moment I knew something was happening. I just didn't know what it was. So maybe, yes, I went through a portal or something similar. And another symptom that I experience is that as soon as I speak something very profound, I start to get chills on my entire body, goosebumps everywhere. And this sort of is confirmation for me that what I just said is actually very meaningful. As as I right now I'm getting goosebumps again. And yeah, I never experienced this before in my life. And on top of that, which started around December, is heavy third eye pressure. Very heavy. It got so heavy that I very much got concerned with what that was. It literally felt like someone was pressing my third eye from the inside, but at the same time from the outside. And it was just right between my eyes, and it it went on for days, and it comes and goes. But since the past couple of, let's say, 7 days, it eased off. But in December it was very intense, very intense. And yeah, but now I know where it comes from. And as soon as I get the third eye pressure, I check the Schumann resonance and I just see these whole huge spikes. And then I know, okay, now I know. So yeah, it calms me down immediately. And the last one, well, I have a couple more, but I will end this with nausea. And this I experienced 2 weeks ago, and I have not experienced this before, I have to say. This was also middle of the night, as right now, and I tried to sleep, and as soon as I closed my eyes, I felt sick immediately. And then I opened my eyes again, and everything was okay, but still something felt weird. And then I closed my eyes again, I moved to the left, I moved to the right, but I just felt sick. I just felt sick to my stomach. It got so intense that I was really sitting in front of the toilet trying to throw up, but I couldn't because my stomach was empty. There was nothing inside. And then I went back to bed, and I think I was up the entire night. I only slept 2 hours just because as soon as I closed my eyes, I felt sick. And the next morning, it was okay again. Of course, I was very exhausted because I didn't sleep very well. Um, but yeah, this was a one-time thing so far. This did not happen again. And as I said, yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, but I think I will end this video now. I have more to come for sure. I think I will call this video part 1, just because I experience so much and every day something new is happening. And yeah, so this was my experience, and as I said, I would love to know your experience. If you have any of these symptoms as well, please write it down below in the comment section. I would love to know your experience. If you have other experiences, please tell them to me. And if you hear all these things for the first time, but you have experienced it and you had no idea what it was, let me tell you, no, you're not crazy. That's the most important thing to remember. And yeah, I hope this video was helpful, and I see you in my next one. Thank you. Namaste.